Welcome to the Cinematic Edge. My name is Brendan Malone. Join me for the next couple of minutes as we take a magical journey through space and look at the new Alfonso Cuarón film, Gravity.
Explorer's been hit. Explorer, do you read? Explorer, over. Explorer. Astronaut is off structure. Dr. Stone is off structure. Dr. Stone's intact. You must detach. If you don't detach, that arm's going to carry you too far. Listen to my voice. You need to focus. I'm losing visual of you. In a few seconds, I won't be able to track you. You need to detach. I can't see you anymore. Do it now. Let's fight.
Last week, my wife and I went to see the movie Gravity. It is absolutely awesome. I can't rave about it enough. If you only go to see one film this year, this really should be the film that you go and see. The other thing that was great about this movie is I think it's the best 3D film to come out so far. I've been skeptical of 3D since it first came out. I went along to see Avatar in 3D and I really wasn't that impressed. It just seemed to me that it was very gimmicky. There was a whole lot of stuff that was sort of just chucked on screen for the sake of it. But with Gravity, that isn't the case. Gravity, because it's set in space, the 3D seems to really work. There's a sort of an amazing depth of field you're dealing with when you look out into the solar system, and you have these amazing differences in light and dark that really make Gravity work. There's one little sort of scene at the beginning, a bit of a homage, if you like, to 3D where a bolt comes flying off into space and it comes flying towards you. But apart from that, there's nothing superfluous or unnecessary about the use of the 3D in this movie. It's very subtle and it works really, really well.
We lost Houston.
Look, we need to get the hell out of here. Need some help there, man? No, don't wait for us.
It's stuck.
Man down! Man down!
One of the things I really loved about Gravity was the fact that it has some deep and important things to say about the human condition. It's not simply a piece of disaster movie escapism. It actually really speaks to the heart of what it is to be human, the human experience. There are themes around suffering, around despair, and around hope. Most importantly, this idea that hope is important, profoundly important, and that really matters. And even in the most desperate and dire of situations, we should cling to hope. We should always cling to hope. It's a great film in that regard. I won't go any more into the details because I don't want to give away too much. But what I will say is this: the way it's handled is really well done. It's not cheesy, it's not overly emotive, it's very subtle, but it draws you into the character and you really get the emotional sense of what's going on with Sandra Bullock in particular and why hope really matters. It's very, very well done. The other thing that's really cool about this movie is its title. When I first heard about the movie, I thought, well, Gravity, I suppose it's a movie that's in space. It kind of makes sense. Once I'd actually watched the movie, I realised that I think the title is actually not so much about space, but it's about the main character, Sandra Bullock, and her struggles. When you think about it, she is a character who is not grounded. She is not living in the real world. She is floating somewhere above it in a state of despair because of some very terrible suffering that's happened to her in her life. And this film is all about her being grounded again or becoming grounded again. The experiences she goes through in this film are all about her realizing that she needs to come back to reality. And even though it's tough and even though there's a lot of suffering involved, if you cling to hope, this is the best way forward, even in the midst of terrible difficulty. So I really love that about this film. I think it's cool. It's got a lot of deep things to say. It's not just your average disaster movie.
Do you copy?
Yes, I copy. I'm detached.
Give me your position.
I don't know. I'm spinning. I can't.
Report your position.
GPS is down. It's down. I can't.
Give me a visual.
I told you nothing. I see nothing.
You have a visual of Explorer.
No.
You have a visual of ISS.
No.
You need to focus. Anything. The sun and the earth. Give me
I
coordinates.
can't breathe.
Give me
I can't breathe.
coordinates. Dr. Stone.
You're burning oxygen. You have to sip, not gulp.
How do I rate Gravity? Well, I'd give it a solid 10 out of 10. Yep, it really is that good. Like I said at the beginning, if you don't go and see any other movie this year, this is the one film you should definitely go and check out. I would also say that going to see it in a cinema makes a lot more sense because of the massiveness and the spectacle of what's on display in this film. Seeing it on a big screen just gives it that sort of extra special something that you're probably going to miss out on a smaller screen. The other thing I'd say is go the extra mile and watch it in 3D. This is the best of the 3D films I've seen so far. It actually makes a lot of sense for this film to be in 3D because of what it is, and the way it's used is very subtle. It's not sort of in your face, and it actually lends itself really well to the storytelling. If you're someone who's a little bit skeptical about parting ways with your hard-earned cash to go and watch movies at the cinema, I would say take a risk on this film, because this film might actually restore your faith in the cinematic experience. I say that because I think this movie in a lot of ways is actually like the original Star Wars film. What do I mean by that? Well, the original Star Wars film, when it was first released, it was hugely popular with a lot of different demographics, a lot of different age groups, a lot of different nationalities and people. People really loved this film. It really spoke to them. Why? Because it wasn't cheesy, it wasn't grounded in anything sort of here and now. In fact, it's much more deep than that. It was very universal. It spoke to some profoundly important things at the heart of the human experience. And I would say Gravity is just like that. It is a movie that really speaks to some deep and important things about the human experience, and as a result, it has a certain timelessness to it. And I think probably even in 50 years from now, people will still be watching this film and still be really enjoying it. So take a punt on it. It's worth going to see at the movies. Gravity, a good, solid 10 out of 10. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time on The Cinematic Edge.
So where's home, Dr. Stone?
Lake Zurich, Illinois.
Is there somebody down there looking up, thinking about you?
I had a daughter. A little girl with brown hair. Tell her that I'm not quitting.